Making up again, Turkey has received its first ambassador from Israel since the two countries broke off ties 6 years ago after an attempt to break the blockade of Gaza ended in violence. President Erdogan welcomed Aytan Nay to the presidential palace in Ankara, where the handshakes marked an end to several years of hostilities. The two countries reached agreement in June to restore relations after nearly 2 years of talks behind the scenes. Under the deal, Israel has apologized for its actions in 2010 and agreed to pay compensation, while Turkey has promised to drop charges against Israelis involved. Israeli commandos raided the Mavi Marmara humanitarian ship, which was trying to break Israel's blockade of Gaza, killing 9 Turkish citizens and 1 Turkish American. The ensuing feud put an end until now to decades of military cooperation between the two countries.
Well, joining me now is the Israeli ambassador to Turkey, Aytan Nay. Sir, it's a pleasure having you on set on the Newsmakers. Thanks for coming to Istanbul.
Thank you, my pleasure.
You must have a tough job, and I'll tell you why. We have Turkish President Erdogan saying your Prime Minister Netanyahu is a, quote, terrorist. You're still allies on paper, still a relationship between the two nations. We have Prime Minister Netanyahu biting back on Twitter, talking about Syria and the like, and talking about killing civilians, and that Turkey should not be lecturing Israel on morality and values. How hard or how much harder does that make your job being Israel's man in Ankara?
First of all, I was very glad to be chosen and honored to be Israel's ambassador to Ankara. Turkey-Israel relations are my passion. It's my second tour in Turkey. I was here during the 90s. Different times, different type of relationships. I was a second secretary, a spokesman of the embassy. The role of every diplomat is to look for what brings us together, not what separates us. And my job here is exactly that. I'm coming here to this interview from meetings, a series of meetings in the morning, through the morning and lunch with top businessmen in this country, and all telling me we want to do business with Israel. We want to come to Israel. We were in Israel. We visited Israel. We wanted to take our families to Israel. We want to do business with you. We understand your language. You understand our language. We think the same. And I think as a diplomat, my first and foremost mission is to bring our countries together, to build trust. Difficult. Not easy, but possible. I've seen it happen before.
But when one's saying terrorist and the other one's saying butcher, how do you bring the two together at all?
You know, there are two peoples here. There are the Turkish people and the Israeli people. Turkey is still the top destination for Israelis. Passover, past. And Turks like Israel, those who come to Israel for the first time. Yesterday I met in the embassy a Turkish researcher who went to Israel for the first time. These are the things, these are the ingredients that make me hopeful, no matter what is the current weather, that for the long run, or even for the medium to long term, relations will pick up, trust will be rebuilt. We have a lot in common, a lot of things that we see eye to eye, or should see eye to eye, a lot of common threats. We eventually want the same thing. How together is a different question.
I think that's affecting the weather, and the thing that President Erdogan was directly referring to when he mentioned that was the situation on the Gaza border. So more than 40 Palestinians killed, more than 1,000 wounded. Was it justified?
Depends how you term the word justified. Every death, every injury, every tear that is shed is regretful. We don't want our sons to kill, and we don't want to get killed. We have interests to protect, we have a security, our borders. And here in Turkey, you asked me before about the difficulty of my job. I feel that here in Turkey sometimes the job is easier when I remember that Turks, like Israelis, honor the borders, the security of the borders, their own security. They know how to fight threats against their own security. They know how to repel terrorists and terrorism. Turkey, like Israel, fought terrorism for many years. And this is what we feel that we are doing. Gaza is controlled by Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas wants to destroy Israel. Today in Israel, we mark the Holocaust Day, a remembrance day for 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. It started with words, with let's destroy, let's kill, let's annihilate the Jewish people. And 1/3 of my people were annihilated. My generation grew up on the notion of never again. We will never let anybody annihilate us, destroy us. We will protect our borders, protect our sovereignty, protect our independence. And I feel that when I talk to Turks, they actually understand what I'm talking about. They understand what is fighting against terrorism. You fought terrorists. At times we help you fight terrorism. And we are fighting terrorism.